All right, welcome back to the third episode of the Infinite Tavern podcast. This is your favorite host, Raghav or Anurag, and I have my co host, Amaan,
The
with
not
me.
favorite one.
Not I didn't say the not favorite one, but still, it's
There's only
okay.
one favorite one.
Hey,
Yeah,
I have multiple
just the
favorites.
second guy, just the other guy.
Just the other guy. Yeah, the favorite host and then just the other guy.
Okay, so in our previous episodes, you must have been wondering. I've been talking about this person who's been helping me out, the person who has given me the what do you call it, the recommendations to Fantasy High or Natpod or whatever. So the other voice that you're hearing, it's her. So we have Poorna with us, the person behind all the help I've been getting in my campaign and one of my players in my Friday campaign. So Poorna, could you
Woohoo!
just talk a little about yourself?
Hi, hello. I don't know. I don't know that people have been wondering because that would imply that people have been listening. So okay, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Ouch.
I mean, I listen to it. I will when it comes out. So you know, yeah. Hi, listeners. I'm Poorna. I honestly don't know why I'm third episode of this podcast because I am not an expert. Like I would supposed to. I feel like I should be somewhere 20th or in the 20s. In that decade. I'm
So
not
she
decade.
says.
What? I'm kind of a noob compared to a lot of the players on this server, on many other servers I've been on. I discovered D&D. I say discovered in a loose sense, because I knew it existed. I just didn't know exactly what it was until I think it's been a little more than a year. It was October of 2022 when I properly discovered what exactly D&D is and why it's literally the best fucking game on the planet. Oh wait, I can swear, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
bonkers.
Because yeah, otherwise you'd have to cut out like 20% of the shit I say. But
Anyways,
yeah,
back to
so I I discovered D&D because of Brennan Lee Mulligan, and I feel like more recently that has been the Discovery D&D show for a lot of new D&D fans. Because back in the day it was what, like Critical Role and some of these other like Twitch streamers and stuff, right? Kind of pretty obscure stuff. I think CR made it pretty, or at least more mainstream than it was before. But Dimension 20, which is run by Dropout, everybody go subscribe to Dropout because it's literally the best fucking service and it's worth all your money. And it was one of the first things I bought with my actual paycheck. Yeah, because never mind. I was gonna make an age joke, and I was like, that's in poor taste. But yes, so I just started getting YouTube recommendations of a lot of those like improv videos that I get from College Humor and from Dropout.
Game
Like
changer.
Game Changer, yeah, Game Changer, Make Some
Make
Noise.
some noise.
Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of SNL and Whose Line Is It Anyway? So, like, a lot of those improv comedy sketches and all of that. So, the YouTube algorithm was algorithming. So, it started giving me like Brennan Lee Mulligan cuts. Wow, I butchered that pronunciation. I'm so sorry, BLM. But after I started liking those videos, it started giving me like excerpts of Brennan DMing in Fantasy High and like Crown of Candy and these, which are like campaigns in Dimension 20. And I was like, wait a second, this is what D&D is? It's like improv acting with a story. This is fucking insane. This is literally every single one of my interests that have been checked on a box. Because I'm one of those people that like jumps around with a lot of obsessions. So I've had a lot of phases in my life. And I go through these obsessive phases and then retain an essence of them as I move on. And when I get obsessed, I like deep dive in there. It's like once I go down that rabbit hole, there's no coming back out. Alice is in Wonderland, and she ain't coming out for a while, for like a long while. Why did I say a while? I can't talk, you guys. I
that's
can't.
all right. For the last two episodes, I've been using dices as the plural for dice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay. Yeah, that does make me feel better.
yeah,
But yeah, so in school I used to have a bunch of friends that actually played D&D. But when I asked them, hey, this sounds like something I'd be interested in, what is it actually about? That guy didn't properly explain it to me. He told me to go watch Critical Role, and didn't explain anything, didn't send me links or anything. So I just typed Critical Role, saw the first thing that popped up, which is probably some compilation that I understood nothing about. I didn't understand the mechanics. I didn't understand what was being discussed. What the fuck was a tiefling? Like, I didn't know all of these things. And so I was like, okay, this is too much. I'm out, you know? And then it was only like a little more than a year ago that because of these dropout videos that I was getting on YouTube, that I was like, wait a second, this is what D&D is? And my shit ass friend from school didn't tell me. And I guess TTRPGs in general, but I've kind of been solely focused on D&D more. So you see what I mean when I'm a noob? Like, I've barely been in this like community for a little more than a year, and some of that time was just consuming content, not actually playing.
Well, there goes our question of how you discovered D&D.
Yeah, I mean,
But
you ran through like 2, 3 lists of questions that we had that we were gonna get into, and you just like
Oh shit!
you did a speed run.
Oh really? I answered like
That-
multiple
yeah,
questions that
this
were
was a
in one
podcast
question.
speed run. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody.
Listen, I go on a lot of tangents, so we're gonna go on a lot of tangents today.
that's
And then
perfect.
you
That's
eventually
perfect.
you should be glad you have a baseline of like what to go to, because I will take us on a wandering path through the woods, and we won't be able to find our way back out. I do this a lot with a lot of my friends. We'll have to like do a trace back analysis, like as if we're going through some kind of algorithm where we're like, wait, so we came to this because we were talking about this. Wait, we were talking about bunnies. Why were we talking about bunnies? Oh yeah, because Jungkook from BTS looks like a bunny. And then we'll be like, why were we talking about BTS? It's like a whole thing. We have to like unravel the threads in order to get to where we were what we were actually supposed to be talking about.
You just had a
I guess
whole
Poorna,
ass
everybody.
conversation right now with yourself, a fictional conversation.
I guess
Yeah.
Poorna, everybody.
Welcome,
Hey,
Poorna.
welcome to ADHD. Am I right?
All right. So you talked about how you got into D&D and everything, but how did you discover like there are these huge TTRPG communities?
Okay, yeah, that was a bit more. It took some more time. Um, I have a slightly embarrassing story that I will say because I'm going to make sure that the person that this is about never hears this. So remember I told you I had a bunch of friends in school that played
Uh-huh.
D&D. One of those
Yeah.
people was my ex-boyfriend,
Oh.
and we weren't dating in school, so he was still a friend. So we started dating in college. It was like a short-lived relationship. But when I discovered D&D, we were still talking now and then because we were friends, and I mentioned it to him, and he was like, dude, that's so cool. Like, are you playing games? And I was like, bitch, who the fuck do I go play with? Because all my friends, none of them know what D&D is. The second I open my mouth to start explaining some fantasy shit, they zone the fuck out. Their eyes glaze over. They start thinking about, I don't know, some lullaby starts playing in their head or something. So none of them are interested in it. So who am I gonna play with? And D&D is like a team sport kind of game. You can't go just play on your own. And like I can't DM for myself. So my ex was like, "Hey, if you want, I will DM a game for you." And I was like, "Okay, just me?" And he was like, "Yeah, just you. I'll do like Curse of Strahd because I've done it before." So my first experience playing D&D was through like a Discord call as the sole PC in a Curse of Strahd campaign. And that lasted, I think, 2, maybe 3 sessions, and it went about as well as you think it would go. I made like the most self-insert PC. I feel like that a lot of people do that with their first characters. It's always like some level of wish fulfillment, self-insert sort of thing. Yeah, so mine was a rogue. I think I went up to level 3, and I wanted to do Arcane Trickster, but I was instead persuaded to do Swashbuckler, I believe. But yeah, so that was my first experience playing D&D. And so that was like, I was like, okay, there's no fucking way that I can just do this as one person. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't like all the stuff that I had watched, and it wasn't what I had come to love about D&D. So this one time I went to this board game kind of place. Like we have a lot of those, I think, in a lot of major metropolitan cities. So I usually for work I live in Bangalore, but
Mhm.
my hometown is Chennai. So one time I was in Chennai and I went to this boardroom place with a couple of my friends, and I saw this guy painting like Warhammer minis. So
Oh.
I was like, oh my god! And there were like so many minis like on tray after tray. By the way, people in Chennai, this is like the boardroom, I think, in Adyar. You guys should go there if you're into board games and like Warhammer stuff. And I think they're gonna start. Why am I advertising?
Oh, that's fine. That's completely fine. It helps people
No,
find more
I mean,
community.
I know that. I know that. I
Shout
just mean
out.
like I do this so often. I keep plugging things to random people.
Yeah, like you said, like you ask people to what subscribe to Dropout.
Watch Dropout. Yeah. Yeah. But I'll plug only about 4 5 other things. Don't worry.
Sam Reich
So
isn't gonna pay.
Sam Reich, hit me up. Please pay me. I will do so much advertising for you. Please. Are you listening?
I think
I'm
I
sure you're
know at
listening.
least four out of those five.
Yeah, I'm sure you know. Because I've recommended so many things to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Shit, where was I? Yeah, so it's in Adyar, it's called the Boardroom. I think they're gonna start having regular like D&D meetups also soon. I went there recently and asked them about it. But anyway, so there was this guy painting Warhammer minis, and I was like, holy shit, Warhammer, D&D, these are like interests that overlap a lot. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, do you play D&D here? And he was like, oh my god, because this was like right after COVID and everything. So apparently they used to have games there, but they stopped because of COVID. And so he was telling me about this community in Bangalore because I was asking him about Bangalore people, whether he knows people that play D&D, so I could join some games. And he was like, there is this board game community called Reroll in Bangalore, and sometimes they run D&D games. So immediately I went on like Google deep dive. I was like, Reroll Bangalore, Reroll D&D games, all of these things I looked up. And prior to this, I had looked up D&D play gaming online and stuff, and there was a lot of international servers I feel like I had joined, but I
Yeah.
didn't. It was weird for me to just hit up strangers I'd never met or spoken to before. I didn't know what the etiquette was, and everything was in a different time zone, and I go to sleep as early as I can. I'm basically a grandmother stuck in this 22-year-old body. I may look like I'm at the peak of my life, but in fact I'm constantly tired and I have back pains and I drink hot water every morning, so I'm basically your grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was weird. I didn't like get into my groove there. So but I found Reroll and I went to my very first in-person game. They have like monthly one shots that happen, and each month it's like a different theme and stuff. So I think it was January of 2023 when I played my very first game with a bunch of strangers, but it was so fun. Nothing I feel beats an actual in-person game where you're just sitting across from each other, telling a story, rolling dice, having fun doing it. I've played a lot of online games. I feel like I've played a lot more online games than I have in person. But there's just that like manic energy of being at the table with people that you just can't match on any other level.
Still no in a real life game for me.
Oh shit, never?
Never.
Man, I called you
Dude.
to a bunch of real life games. And yeah,
You called
whenever
me to
we try to
one,
run,
and I wasn't like I think I was
you
caught
are
up in
not in
something, or
town.
I wasn't. Yeah, I was not in
Holy
You are
town.
in,
shit.
not in town.
Dude, that sucks. You guys both live in Hyderabad. I can't believe you haven't like met up or done
Because
stuff
we live in
together.
different corners of the city.
Hey, at least you live in the same fucking city, my dude. I feel like you've come to Bangalore for so many things. You can't go 20 kilometers from your house to see someone.
It's tougher than you would. You can't just put me on the spot on this.
Yeah, Narak, why?
Hey, it's a two-way street, buddy.
He has a car.
Ouch.
I don't. It's
Yeah,
Uh,
like
man.
where I.
What the hell?
the person that invented Ola invented it for a reason.
We'll get
I
to it.
feel I feel like you should make a day of it, like bro hang kind of situation. You go get candy, or I don't know what it is, beer probably. Beer sucks. Anyway, that's my controversial opinion of the day, or not of the day. Honestly, I feel like just of the half an hour that we're going to be
Wow.
talking.
Every opinion stated on this podcast belong to the individual person.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Nothing I say or do reflects the actual hosts or rather the host and the other guy.
Wow, you had to bring that back.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, but you've never played an in-person game?
I mean, I ran one for my wife,
You're
but
married?
hey everyone, this is the other guy who's married.
Oh my
Well,
God.
we have a
Wow.
favorite host and the other guy who's married. Great.
And the other
Yeah.
guy, yeah, the wife guy, the favorite guy and the wife guy.
So I ran one game for her. Again, just a solo, just like it was like a duet.
Oh
But
no, I guess I talked too much shit about me being the only PC.
no, that's fine because I mean, she was after that. She's like, it's okay.
Oh,
You
not
do
my
your
thing.
you. Yeah, you do D&D. I'll do movies.
What does she do? Oh, movies. What kind of movies?
It's mostly chill movies, happy endings,
Nice. Smart.
and occasionally horror.
Oh, yikes. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
I like how we jump from, nice movies, happy endings, and occasionally
And
horrors.
then horror, I'm like, whoa, out of left field. But yeah, that's
yep.
so cool. That's so cool. Wait, but you really have to, play a game in person. Do you DM?
I
You
know.
DM. I can't believe you've done DMing and you've never run a game like in real life or played a
I
game
plan
in real
to
life.
once I go to Mumbai again. I think I am gonna go there next month for a week or
Mhm.
so, and I'm planning to run a few games there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're ever in Bangalore, you should try to
Oh,
coincide it with the
definitely.
last Sunday of the month because the last Sunday of the
Hmm.
month is when Reroll does their monthly D&D game. So you could play there. You could even DM. It's really
Oh,
it's
definitely.
fun. Yeah, I mean, it's not.
That's on my list.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's mostly for like it's like beginner friendly games. So it's
Yeah.
like most of the games are up to level 3. I think a couple games sometimes are higher level for more experienced players, but yeah, it's really fun. And honestly, I feel like you can't feel that energy of a D&D game. Oh my god, this is what real feeding off of each other's energy is unless you do it in person. I feel like it's so hard to have side conversations when you're
Yeah.
trying to hear everybody through one streaming situation, like whether it's Zoom or Google Meet or Discord or whatever it is that you use. There's only one audio track that you can listen to, so if like 5 people are talking at the same time, you can't hear
Yeah.
anything. In person you can have like 3 different conversations at the same time, and your expressions itself are like a conversation of their own with the other person, and it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. I'm not really extrovert. Okay, like I like staying at home. My idea of a good time is like staying at home and binging shows or reading a book or something. It's not
Same.
like I like to go out and talk to people. But with D&D games, given that it's has a social nature already, it's just so much better when it's in person, and you're really missing out, dude.
I know. I know. Stop making me feel shit about about it.
No, it's
But
okay.
no, no. I know. I completely agree to that point because D&D or TTRPGs in general and GMing has brought me out of that shell of being a more introverted kind of person who would rather just
Mm-hmm.
sit at home with a book or just watch a movie or series,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. So it has brought me out of the shell. But I actually had planned to do an IRL game, rather more like a LARP thing at one of the monuments thing places, tomb places in Hyderabad.
Oh,
But
cool.
there were so few people interested that it didn't happen. I didn't want to run it for two other people because
Oh,
that would feel kind of sad for me. Uh,
that
so
is kind of sad.
so if
Yeah,
I
I feel
if I go if I'm in Bangalore or even Delhi or Mumbai, I do want to run that.
yeah, I feel like also from a social standpoint, if there's like 3 people dressed up in armor and having fake swords running around stabbing at each other, it's more concerning than if 20 people were doing it, you know?
Yeah,
I
but
think it's a little less concerning than if 20 people were doing it.
No, see, that's what you would think. But if 20 people were doing it, you'd be like, oh, there's some convention going on, some nerd convention going on. But if it's like 3 people, you're just like, there's no strength in numbers. You're just 3 lunatics, and someone's going to call the police on you. You're like, hello, sir.
Could
There's like 3 people just wearing random. It looks like dhoti, but also they're wearing some, look like aluminum foil it looking. They're just stabbing at each other with plastic. I don't know. They escaped mental hospital. That's probably the reaction. If there were
yeah.
20 people, I'm sure there'd be some decent cosplayers, and
Hmm.
also there's less likelihood of 20 people escaping from a mental hospital than 3 people. So
Wow, that we
anyway,
went on a tangent there.
no, and then we had to like properly sit and analyze why it is a possibility that there would be complaints made to the police or just general confusion about LARPing because it's so non-existent in India.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well, and I think that currently, but I wasn't planning to do like a proper LARP type of session, but just sort
Mm.
of a moving table. So
Ooh.
rather than me describing the battle map or me describing the room or showing the room, we just go there, we roll over there. I describe what you see over there,
Oh
and we
my
roll on the
god.
spot, on the floor, wherever, and see what
Wow.
happens.
That does sound fun. It's like something that I haven't seen before. That's really interesting. Damn.
So yeah, that's
Wow, are you
probably
giving me a reason to come to Hyderabad right now? Is that what's happening?
sure, man. Come on.
Damn. All right, I will think about it. We'll see.
So yeah, that's something on my list that I need to do apart from playing IRL
In
games.
game, yeah, yeah. I mean, in person. Why did I say in game? I mean, I didn't mean to make you feel bad about it. I'm
No,
sure.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah. Okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah. And then like, how many in-game, in person? My God, how many in-person games
In-game purchases.
have you? Yeah, in-game purchases. Yeah, absolutely. How many times have you plugged stuff in-game for people to buy? No, I'm kidding. How many in-person games have you run?
In Okay, I'm also losing track of what I'm supposed to say. Okay, IRL games. I think I've run a few of them. A few in Hyderabad. I think around three in Hyderabad.
Were they
Three.
better than your online ones? What did you feel was like the main difference?
Well, first of all, finding the place was a tough one.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
At first, we decided to go to some cafe. I'm not going to name because I
Mm.
don't even want to recommend that place.
Oh, damn.
Mm.
Had
Okay.
a bunch of kids, and every single table surface was super sticky. And I really didn't want to
Oh,
place even my
Yeah.
laptop on that thing.
Yeah, kids are sticky and places with kids are stickier.
Yeah. So we decided to, just go to one of the players' home. He has this massive table, and we
Mm,
got some drinks. We got there, and we just played over there.
nice.
And we, met another time to finish off that story that we started previously.
Hmm.
And the third time, we met, and that was the last we met, and that the story remained unfinished. The second story that I
Also, it was
started,
like
it
a
remained.
proper campaign. It wasn't just one
No,
shot.
no, no, no. Two shots.
Ah,
The
okay. Was
second two shot, it remained unfinished till now.
okay. Well, now you know you're like a regular at Starbucks, right? So you can just go sit there
Yeah,
and they'll be like,
absolutely.
"Oh, our prized customer, please come sit. Let me get you a blueberry muffin."
and a grande cappuccino.
I grant it's only going
Uh,
to cost half your monthly paycheck. It's okay though.
why?
We'll
Why
write
do you
your name
have to? Why
incorrectly.
do you have to do this?
Yeah, your entire bada name, your Sai Raghava, Poluri, something, something.
Yeah, come on, reveal my Aadhaar card number as well.
I would say the other half of your name, but I just don't know it. I have
Great.
forgotten it. It's too huge.
Yeah, haven't heard that joke in such a long time.
Hey, you know me, I like to keep it fresh.
Yeah, and yet you go for the oldest joke in the book.
Hey, listen, oldie but goldie. Isn't that what they say?
Sure, grandma.
Yeah, that's me. I am
All
the
right.
oldie but goldie.
Um, and in Bangalore, I think I've run three games as well in
Mm,
the same Dialogues Cafe in JP Nagar.
yeah, dude, I feel like Bangalore is so well equipped to handle nerds because we have
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many
absolutely.
places. Yeah, so many things, cool things are happening constantly. I feel like it's just
Yeah.
such a, yeah, I mean, the traffic is absolutely insane, but there's so much else that like kind of makes up for it.
Happening what, like you said, you just joined the whole campaign and everything, but what it is you that actually got you to love D&D?
Man, you mean apart from Brennan Lee Mulligan?
Mhm.
Just I don't know if you've I know like you've watched Fantasy High. Aman, have you watched any of the Dimension
I've
20
I've
campaigns?
I've watched season one of Fantasy High.
Okay.
I watched a few. I watched a couple of episodes of Crown of Candy.
Oh,
And I have yet to watch the Abreya Iyengar's the first campaign she did. Uh,
Misfits and Magic or
was it
Court of
Mr.
Fey and
Oh,
Flowers.
sorry, yeah, Court of Fey and Flowers. That's one I want to get into, but I want to finish Fantasy High and Crown of Candy first.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Something happened.
but yeah, so I think the first campaign that I watched was this mini campaign, which was like a parody of the Lord of the Rings stuff from the evil guy's side. So it was like a mini campaign with I believe Matt Mercer, Erika
Was
Ishii,
was it
uh,
Escape from the Bloodkeep?
Bloodkeep, Escape from the Bloodkeep. Yes, that's the one. It was like a fun parody of the Lord of the Rings from the evil guy's side. So it was like instead of the eye of Sauron, it was like the maw of something, and it was very funny. And I mean, obviously these are like professional improv comedians that are just doing like storytelling together and using these mechanics to like serve that story.
Hmm.
And even though I understood none of the mechanics, because that is like level 14, there are very high level characters playing, and that was
Yeah.
my very first campaign that I watched. I was so hooked to the like role play that they were doing. So it was really the role play that got to me. In any book I read or any movie I watch or show that I watch, basically any story that I consume, it's usually the plot and the development of how the plot and the characters sort of aid in making things more interesting that gets me. So there's always some hooks that get certain people, right? Like I have a friend who, as long as there are some tropes that get checked off, she loves reading it. Like if there's a couple that she can really ship, she like loves the book because of it. And while that's awesome too, like I do understand that, my thing was more like there needs to be plot, things need to make sense, things need to feel earned, the characters need to be actively sort of contributing to the story, and D&D is quintessentially that. Like it's impossible to have a story in D&D without the characters actively contributing, because their roles, their decisions literally determine everything. So with the RP that was happening in Escape from the Blood Cave, it was only like 4 episodes. So
Yeah.
I like breezed through it in one day, even though each episode was so fucking long. And usually you don't consume unless you're familiar with D&D. Like other than D&D, there's nothing in the world that has one episode as long as a full length movie, and you
Yeah.
still binge through it in like a single day. So as soon as I finished that, I went to Fantasy High because these were the 2 seasons that were available for free on YouTube. And just like the rapport between the characters, the way that they made decisions in character and said just improvised lines and stuff, that was so insane to me. And I was like, this is literally every interest I have had put into one. Because my favorite genre in books, in movies, is fantasy.
Mhm.
And I love performance. I'm a musician. I absolutely adore theater, musical theater, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I used to want to be an actor when I was a kid, before I realized that that's really not a viable dream. But I used to want to be an actor. I still want to be a writer of sorts. So it's like D&D is literally the combination of all of these things. It is a performance. It is you collaboratively doing storytelling with your friends. So you're writing and performing as it's happening. Besides, it's really the only place I can showcase my most useless skill of knowing a couple of accents. Like, what other place in the world am I gonna suddenly have a use for a Russian accent, right?
An,
So,
an accent school as a dialect coach, maybe.
but I'm not a professional. I just do it for fun. And this is based off of what I have observed from movies and shows and stuff. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't actually, I'm sure I'll do some words wrong. I don't know. I'm sure, like, within the Russian, spectrum of accents, there are like some dialects that are like based on the area that you're from. There could be something in Russian and I just don't know it. So, finer nuances, probably not. But I do a couple accents, and where the fuck else am I going to go use them, right?
Let's move on to another question, though. What's your favorite player experience, best player experience that you've had so far?
You mean which has been my best game as a player?
Yeah, best player experience. Like, basically, yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I'm gonna answer this as like not my best performance, but rather what has been the best experience from externally to me, right? Right.
Mhm.
Cool. Huh. Honestly, I feel like yesterday's session that I was guest PCing in was probably my favorite D&D experience of recent memory.
For the people who are listening who don't know that what yesterday was, all of you know that Poorna is helping me out with the DMing part of my Wednesday campaigns. So recently, she just joined the cast of the campaign as a guest player for a few episodes. So in the previous session, she played a character called Zintra, and that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, really? That's all?
And the rest, you continue. It's your story.
Oh, okay. That's all you're gonna say. Got it, got it. Yeah, so actually yesterday, I feel like so far, obviously after having watched like Dimension 20 and listened to NatPod. By the way, everybody go listen to Not Another D&D podcast, NatPod for short. It's the best podcast in the whole fucking world. And that includes podcasts that are not D&D podcasts. But this one is a D&D podcast. It's like actual play. It has Murph and Emily from Dimension 20. I feel like everybody knows Emily Axford at this point. And there's like 2 other people that you may not have heard of, but if you're familiar with Dropout and College Humor content, you would know Jake Hurwitz and Caldwell Tanner. So when I say Murph, by the way, it's Brian Murphy, but he goes by Murph. Again, plug for NatPod, the best podcast in the whole fucking world. You gotta go listen to it.
So far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even need an inside check there.
No, I just, what? What do you mean?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
being
yeah.
super
Go on.
honest.
Go on. Yeah, I don't want to, dig this any deeper.
Okay, so yes, so yesterday I was guest PCing as this sort of mafia character actually, and Anurag and I talked a lot about this before debuting this character into the campaign. Because initially, when he pitched this idea, like, "Hey, why don't you guest star in this campaign?" I had a lot of questions. I was like, "Bro, I literally help you plan stuff in this. Like, wouldn't it be unfair for me to have a lot more knowledge than the rest of the players do?" And then we found out a way to make the fact that I know a lot more than the players do as either a plot hook or part of the character. So basically, I'm just a more sentient NPC, and that's the way that I think of it when I'm role playing, or at least I did yesterday, because this is the first experience I have of guest PCing and also sort of being the DM's little minion. And when I say DM's little minion, I do mean the yellow kind. Yeah, I'm basically Anorak's little minion, the DM's little helper. You know, like how Santa has helpers, I'm the DM's little helper. Um, So, this is like completely new experience for me, and I'm assuming Anorak as well.
I've had co-DMs. Like I've had a good co-DM, but currently he's like managing the whole Exandrian server, Parsec. But
So when you say Codium, you
for
mean
yeah,
like they also run the games, right?
yeah, yeah. So before the Infinite Tavern was created, me and Parsec we actually ran this Exandrian mini campaign. I would say we borrowed from the lore a little bit, and we just thought. I told him that I wanted to run a swashbuckler campaign once, and we
Ooh.
came up with this thing, which was not at all related to swashbuckler, but still it was fun.
That's so interesting, given that
And
you
yeah,
haven't even watched Critical Role and you're like, yeah, Exandria, let's fucking go.
we watched 2 episodes of Critical Role, and we decided to go with Exandria.
Nice.
Oh my god, which two episodes?
I think something in the latest campaign, the third
Campaign
campaign, first
3.
2 episodes, I guess. Yeah.
Whoa, no
Oh,
context, just dived right in. Nice.
I do, watch a few of Matt's videos for some DMing
Tips.
tips. I do.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I take, inspiration from all three.
Now, here's my second controversial opinion of this podcast. Not a fan of Critical Role. Yeah, I don't feel like they have the
You
best.
don't have to
Okay,
be,
and
he just
before everybody comes at me, if you fucking watch Dimension 20, how are you satisfied with Critical Role? That's my counter question. Come
again.
at me. Okay, my DMs are open, and when I say open, I mean closed because I will not answer any of them. Thank you. But yeah.
okay. I think you might agree with me on this. When I watched Calamity on Critical Role, that was the best shit I've ever watched.
Calamity is insane. Brennan is fucking insane. He's so
And
good.
that's
Every
when I
single thing he
went
touches
full
is gold.
headfirst into Brennan. Like
Right?
he's my man.
Yeah, back to your best player experience.
Yeah. We know you all want to hear. I mean, I know that you want to hear about how great you are for a second. But I've just quick side note. Once you get used to Murph and Brennan's like DMing styles, I don't know. Like, I'm just not into Matt's style. Maybe it's some people have told me it's like Critical Role is a completely different format. You can't compare it to Dimension 20, blah, blah, blah.
No,
Fact of the matter is, it's for
I
entertainment, right? And I am just not
I
as entertained by Critical Role as I am by Dimension 20. Anyway, this is just my opinion. Disclaimer, I'm here to bring the drama. Don't at me. Or, I mean, at me, but I will not at you back. I don't actually know what at means. I
okay.
think that's Twitter. Anyway.
I've actually mentioned this in the previous episode also, first episode also,
Mm-hmm.
that while Matt's world building skills is something that I'm a fan of, and something that I borrowed for Axel Dawn as well.
Mm-hmm.
The DMing style that I use right now is more in tune with Brennan's,
Mm.
the whole rule of cool and everything. I try to take in as much as Brennan for the DMing, the story and the DMing style. And the encounters I use Murph's style, Murph's style
Yeah,
of
and Murph studied at the
encounters and all of
feet
that.
of his guru, which was Brennan Lee Mulligan. So everybody subscribes to the Mulligan school of DMing. And honestly, you're going to be better for it, your table's going to be better for it, which relates to my best D&D experience, which was yesterday, because you recently were like, I'm going to up my game, and you've been watching a lot more of Fantasy High sophomore year and listening to more natpod on my recommendations, and I just had to say it was my recommendation. But yeah, and so I feel like you
Everyone knows.
really I feel like you really have upped your game from what you were saying, because yesterday's session felt so alive. Anyway, the reason I brought up like having seen all of this content was that when I started playing, after the first joy of like actually playing in the first few games, I started noticing that there was a trend with players and DMs at tables like in real life. I don't know if this is how it is everywhere, but this is how it was for me, where it felt like people were using the rules to restrict themselves rather than to use them as a baseline for what is possible in a storytelling perspective. Anyway, I'm going off topic. Let me just come back to this. Because yesterday, so it was like the party was going to a new town, and this is like a town that's sort of been overrun by the mafia. And so there's a lot of things that are happening which are bad. And you know how PCs tend to kind of go one way or another, where they're either really like do gooders that want to fix every problem they come across, or they want to loot things and burn towns, get money. This party has sort of more of a concentration of the good, lawful good type of characters, or at least the ones that were present yesterday were like that. So my guest PC is a mafia person. So we made her like the spy master because she has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things. So the PCs kind of need her help. So they're kind of like finding clues and stuff that leads them to her. And what I really loved that sort of pushed the session from a good session to a great session, that edge, was like the little tidbits that Anurag added in. So, just for an example, it made the town feel more alive when he was describing like a multitude of things that the PCs could have interacted with, and they none of them ever gave the answer that you would immediately expect. Like you walk up to a cop or some, I mean, I guess, sorry, in fantasy cop, it's like a guard, right? So you walk up to the guard and you're like, hey, what's all this crime going around? You would expect the guards to be like, yeah, we must find the perpetrator of these crimes, etc., etc. Instead, it was like, yeah, these people are so fucking jaded because they've seen this shit happen again and again. And in a town that's overrun by mafia, clearly they have so much power, and a lot of the police force is not going to do anything. So the way he played it was very like casual, having these NPCs sort of tease them and play off of each other. And I think you said you had just watched Family Man, so he came up with names for the NPCs that was Stewie and
Family
Brian.
Guy. Family Man is a whole other
Oh, yeah, yeah,
series.
yeah. I remember that. That's the agent guy. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Family Guy. And he was like, oh, look at this guy, Stewie. He wants to lodge a complaint. And I could totally imagine that as like one of those New Yorkers, like, one of those New York cops that just don't give a fuck from like the 80s movies. They're like, look at him, Stewie. He wants to lodge a complaint. He thinks he's a do-gooder. And like, I could just totally visualize that happening. Something similar he did somewhere else was when a PC yelled something like, I am a silver guard or something like that. He made one of like random people from the back be like, yeah, good for you, buddy. And that's something I found sorely lacking in a lot of DM's gameplay, where
You know,
unless something important is going to happen or they're going to interact with an NPC that they have already planned for, they don't often improvise silly things like this that make the game as fun as it is for me. And it's like you find comedy within the story the way that you find comedy in real life.
I was saying after the game ended, right?
Mm.
I thought, I could have added a little more to that scene by saying, after that, random guy says, good for you. He hears another random voice that says, you're a wimp. And yeah, it just adds both dynamics over there. One is supportive, one is just
I love that. But I didn't think of the good for you, buddy, as supportive. I thought of it as mocking because it was like,
a little,
yeah,
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 mocking
okay,
itself.
bro, shut the fuck up. That's what it was saying to me, and I found that really
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah, that was just a couple of examples. Just to make the world feel more alive by giving the PCs more agency and more autonomy to make their decisions, so that they have a lot more choices. And the thing I feel like a lot of DMs I've played with or have seen in real life, they tend to stress out about different paths that PCs can take. So unless it's a path that they have particularly like planned for, they don't really let it happen. And when I say let it happen, it's like, yeah, if you roll for something, they gotta let it happen, right? It's not like that. It's usually like the roles will tell you what the DM is more or less saying, which is that, hey, this is not a viable option for you. So everybody was really like, of course, it's not just credit to Anorak, it's also credit to all the players that played yesterday. They really stepped up, like they really impressed me with their role playing, with the way that they were making their decisions according to what their character would do, and it felt very authentic, and it felt like an actual D&D game. Like that excitement that I get from, oh my god, this is such a good story, that I don't feel very often in a lot of games. I mean, it's sad, but not every session is gonna live up to your expectation. But yeah, it was fucking amazing, and it's one of those episodes in a campaign that you really remember. It's gonna stand out to me for a long, long time.
The thing you said about red flag not being,
Railroading not being a red
sorry,
flag.
not railroading not being a red flag.
Mhm.
Just the previous episode, right? Our guest was saying that
We were playing a game called Rapid Fire Agree or Disagree. So
Mm.
railroading should absolutely not be there.
yes. So he said, he would agree to that. But yeah, we decided that this would be a whole other episode to talk
Mm.
about railroading, whether
Mm.
it is good or bad. But yeah, actually, in my opinion, railroading would be something important to the start of a game. I mean, not in the middle of a game where you need to force players to go into it, but in the start of beginning of a game to get the story on track, to get into the main quest line,
Mhm.
you need to railroading needs to be done, but it needs to be done in a way that it doesn't feel like railroaded,
Mm.
doesn't feel
Just
forced.
to feel
So
organic.
yeah,
It needs to be organic, exactly.
yeah, absolutely. Something that people have come to, it's like these are one of like these taboo words, right? Like if you, the second you use this word, it's like it's like how gaslighting as a word has become used so commonly for just things, and it's completely not the situation that that word was made for. I feel like railroading is like that, where some people just cry railroading, like like cry wolf, but cry railroading as a reason for their like, no, I wanted to do this cool thing, the game didn't let me, they're railroading me. That's such a whiny kid approach to a game that's literally collective storytelling. And that kind of brings me to what I was gonna say about what D&D really is, because we describe it as a TTRPG, right? Like a tabletop role-playing game. So to people that don't know about D&D, and I keep talking about D&D every 5 seconds to possibly anybody that I can talk to. So even at office, I'm like, explain the game to so many people that but yeah, like
Hey, it's exactly the same over here as well.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've tried to talk people into D&D. They've seen my tattoo, which is a D20,
Yeah.
and still, they got a little curious. They asked me about it, and yet people were not interested for some reason.
Dude, I don't get it. I simply don't get how people, especially people who like stories, right? Like they watch shows, they read
Yeah.
books. How are you not into D&D? I simply don't get it. But anyway, sorry. What I was saying was, every time I describe it as a game to people, the first thing they ask me is, how do you win? Which
Oh,
is,
Exactly. There is no winning in
yeah,
D&D.
yeah.
which is such a ridiculous question to people that know the game. So I've instead started describing it as a collaborative storytelling experience with some dice rolling. Because that's what it
Oh.
is. At least what makes D&D such a fantastic popular game, and I don't want to presume to, describe everyone's opinion of it. So it's possible I'm wrong, but I guess this is how I feel about it, which is that it's the fact that you kind of spontaneously make decisions in the mind of someone that's not you and form a story in a world that's not yours. So you're kind of giving each other the safe space to be vulnerable and talk about things that are really actually your real life problems through the filter of fiction. That was a lot of words, but
Yet somehow it
TLDR,
completely made sense to me.
yeah. Great. I'm glad. TLDR, it's basically, it's not a game where you win or you lose, because if you're having fun, you're winning. That's kind of how I feel.
So that actually, brings in comes into my, what I was actually going to ask you next.
Oh, wonderful.
Good story versus mechanics.
Ooh,
I mean, I already know the answer.
is this like a either
No,
or?
no, no, no. Yeah. What
So,
is like more important? Like, when it comes to something that involves some critical moment,
mm,
would you consider mechanics more or just the storytelling more?
Oh, now
Is
that's a
what I'm
different
asking.
question from your initial question. So for the latter, which is in a critical moment, are the mechanics as important as story reasons? Absolutely not. The mechanics are just a guideline for you. And if something, it's like the rule of cool, right? If you have to absolutely subscribe to the
Exactly.
rule of cool, because even rules as written, you don't follow everything when rules are as written, because that's the beauty of a game like D&D. It's not a program that you're running on your computer. It's not like an Xbox game and you have the controllers in your hand. It's all in your mind. The rules are just there to help you know what is possible. And in a story moment when something is important, why would you why would you leave that up to some random bunch of dudes in a company that wrote these rules like years ago? Why would you leave it to them? Another controversial opinion of mine is that fudging roles as a holy grail, you don't do it, right? As a rule, you don't do it. And I'm a firm believer that bad roles also contribute to the story. So fudging roles is bad as a general rule, but in these situations where like storytelling, critical storytelling moments, you think, hey, if this failed or if this succeeded, it would make a better story. And I completely approve those situations where you do that. So controversial, third
Exactly.
controversial opinion of the day. um,
But that one actually, brings into my story of, one of my favorite D&D experience, because I rarely play. And so I don't have many of my player experiences. So
mm,
it's still DMing experience when I, talk about this.
yeah.
So I think you would remember, you were actually, part of that game. It's a game where it's the session where, the whole party fought this green dragon.
Oh my god.
So we have, some characters, for the listeners, some of the characters that, you would have to remember is this guy called Rorik, a priest who sent the party on a quest to retrieve some missing people. And then you have a barbarian called Ursa and the fighter paladin called Louis. This whole thing happened in the in this order. So this guy sent them to find some
I mean,
missing people.
honestly, that guy was a smarmy, smug-faced jerk off, and I hated him like I have never hated any other NPC. That motherfucker, he was like the cleric of the town, and he made this big deal about like, oh no, our people have been missing for so long. Please go help them and stuff like that. And he was like making these mixtures from this holy tree that were supposed to be healing potions. He gave us some healing potions to go fight this whoever was kidnapping these missing people. We go to this cave, we find out it's actually a green dragon. We find out this dude, the cleric, is actually in cahoots with the green dragon, to like send him basically food in return for, I don't remember, something. And oh my god, yeah. This is why I fucking hated him with every fiber of my being, even as the player Poorna. So my character was doing like a cool character moment where instead of being the first to sort of jump into the fray, she was for the first time taking a moment to kind of recollect her thoughts.
Okay.
And as a bonus action, I chugged a healing potion. And guess what? It wasn't a healing potion. And I took damage from the poison that that fucker had made and
Oh,
died.
holy
I,
shit.
yeah, and this is after I wasted my turn casting heroism on myself. So
Holy.
that fucker ruined my cool moment. And I
Back.
really wanted to kill him so fucking bad. And anyway, we by the time we get back to this town, it's on fire. He's done some sort of zombification to himself by drinking some weird tree sap that, I don't know, I guess it went bad. He didn't look at the expiry date, I guess. He fucking became like a zombie dude. He's all talk making one of those villain speeches about power, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, I'm gonna make a kebab out of you. And instead, what happened was our
It was supposed
paladin
to be
and the
my story.
listen, the barbarian and the paladin did like a combo thing where mechanically it didn't make any sense. Like this wouldn't have worked mechanically, but basically, what the fighter did was he threw a polymorphed. The barbarian had been polymorphed into like a
Okay,
frog.
so the villain, he basically polymorphed the barbarian into a frog,
Yeah.
and Misty stepped somewhere else,
Hmm.
and he was almost at the end of his HP pool when Louis, the paladin, took his horse, rode up to the
Frog.
frog, picked the frog up, threw the frog, and mid he threw a hand axe at the frog. Now the basic rules of polymorph say that if you take enough damage as a in your polymorph form to get you to 0 hit points, you change back into your
Yeah.
original form. So that is what happened, and I thought this thing is way too cool for mechanics to ruin this.
So
Yeah.
basically, the
And I just
barbarian transformed mid-air from a frog into her raging self, crash landed onto that cleric dude until he was a smoking crater on the fucking ground. And that is why the rule of cool should take precedence over all other rules. Yeah, it was
that was
insanely
like
cool.
that
That's
is
great.
basically one of my most favorite D&D experiences
Yeah,
ever
I
so
couldn't
far.
even be mad that I didn't get to skewer him like a kebab because that was just too cool.
Man, that's like a viral TTRPG moment for YouTube. If it was ever, like
Yeah,
that
wild
shit
No,
TTRPG
happening.
stories.
that was really literally so cool, and it just ended the fight on a really good high for everyone.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. Like I was still a little bit salty that I didn't get to kill that motherfucker. Because he fucking poisoned me. And everybody else was acting like I was overreacting about it, which was kind of funny in hindsight. Because they were like, bro, he literally torched the town. Why are you mad he poisoned you one time? I'm like, it was one time, but I died. And I was madder than the
Oh
people of
yeah,
the town.
I mean, you went unconscious, you were brought back, and before you could react or anything, the dragon actually breathed
Breathe.
poison on you again.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
That whole combat, I did nothing. I think before it even got to my turn, the dragon was dead.
Well,
Yeah. So you can,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, the dragon lasted 2 turns.
yeah, because the first turn I was fucking unconscious, Anorak. And the
Yeah.
second round before it got to me, I was dead. I mean, like it was dead. But that's fine, like obviously I'm not gonna be like, I didn't get to kill something. Yeah, 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 yeah. I was just mad that that motherfucker poisoned me. And right after, I literally did a cool thing. I like cast heroism on myself, and it was like because of the frightened condition of the dragon, I was like, I am no longer frightened kind of thing. I don't know. I was gonna do like a cool, this is recuperating in order to get back into the fray sort of thing. Instead, I was fucking scared. I got not scared, and then I downed poison and just dropped to the ground. The most
That's
uncool turn ever. Yeah.
that's
Most
also one of the
TLPD
reasons I
moment.
love that session, because that was like the
That was, I think, the closest I've gotten to wanting to punch you.
hey, if you want to punch the DM, that means I'm doing a good job there.
I don't know. I feel like maybe you're misunderstanding the signals here.
If you want to punch the DM as a player, that means doesn't that mean he's either doing a very good job or a very bad job?
Hmm.
And I like to think that I'm doing a very good
Hmm.
job there.
I wonder which it is.
We'll find out when you
Well,
both
I know
meet.
which it is.
Yeah.
Coming back to this one, so yeah, I know about two of your characters, so I know about. I mean, I know about it, but people don't. At least so far, they've known a little about Zintra,
Mm.
and they know a little about Mor.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
character I was just describing about having a moment to
yeah,
myself before getting into the
yeah.
fray. Her name is Mor, and she's like a wild magic sorcerer, come paladin multiclass. I was initially going to be more sorcerer focused than paladin focused, and actually, this is my first paladin character because as a class, paladins, clerics, they don't hold a lot of interest for me, or at least they didn't until very recently. And it's mostly because of the god aspect of it, right? So I've just never been drawn to clerics or paladins or some kind of higher power, just never appealed to me. The character concept I had for this character more was that I just wanted someone that was so like chaotic, but not by alignment, but because she truly doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. She's just a mess. And I think that was also largely inspired by me feeling very confused in my life. And I mean, it's not like it's gone, I constantly wake up wondering where the fuck I am. And every day I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Wow, this got existential real quick. uh
Yeah.
I had this idea for someone who is not very in control of herself or her emotions, and I wanted to explore feeling like you have no control and learning to be okay with that. And I guess through your acceptance of it, that itself becomes a form of control. So I just had this really cool idea of, I mean, obviously, wild magic is like uncontrollable. So that was kind of an obvious choice. But the paladin part interested me because this one visual of like swinging wildly and like you miss a lot of the shots, but the one that does hit just explodes in like a smite, right? The way I thought of it was like she's just lashing out because she's emotional right now. Almost like emotional damage, but not for herself, but for the other person. And I just thought that was really funny. And her being like, I don't know what I did, I didn't even understand, that was goofy thing that I wanted to have. You know, as the story goes along, basically I have a pet dragon. So I ended up taking another level of paladin quite recently to protect her. And sort of,
So
I don't have a patron.
So in this whole homebrew campaign of mine, I made it so that your paladin's power come from your oaths instead of your gods.
Oh.
So
I
gods are
actually
only
think,
clerics.
yeah, I think that's actually how it is written.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know why the misconception that paladins are also deity based came in,
Yeah.
Mm.
but it's more of a oath thing, and that's how we made it. We took the oath of devotion subclass,
Yeah, we
and
changed
I
it.
just edited it into oath to protect Nessa being the dragon, of course,
And instead
Uh,
of channel
and we just
divinity, it's like channel motherhood, and that's so hilarious.
uh,
I fucking love that.
and instead of what is that,
Turn the
holy
undead.
Nimbus, it's basically holy mother of Nessa.
Nessa's my dragon. She's my baby. The
And
thing was, I didn't even suggest the having a pet thing because that's actually something I tend to do with a lot of my characters. I've realized is I like having a little, like a little familiar. And this one completely out of the blue, Anurag didn't know any of this. He just pitched it to me as like,
I was like, hear me out. Do you want a pet dragon?
I was like, bitch, you say hear me out before you pitch a bad idea. This is a present. This is Christmas Day and my birthday rolled into one. What are you talking about? Yeah. I was like, yes, absolutely. When and why and how soon can I have that, please and thank you.
Yeah.
So a lot of the way he
And we came up
describes
with this
how the
whole.
little dragon acts is like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. It's very cute.
So yeah, that actually brings me to my question before this whole tangent on what kind of characters do you usually play? Is what I
Oh,
wanted to know.
that's a great question.
Currently, Mor and Zintra are on a completely different spectrums, both of them.
Oh yeah, they're so different. Like on
So that's
personality
why.
wise, build wise, they're so different. So the thing is, I usually think of what character themes I want to explore before I go to the mechanics of it. I feel like by now this must be obvious to from all the things I said, but I don't, because you pick skill proficiencies and your class and your subclass based off of what type of character you are and what you're good at and what you're bad at. I tend to sort of explore like my own trauma through D&D, because when you're doing it as a character, the bad decisions you make or the things that you say, they're not attached to you because they're your character, so they're a fictional person. And I mean, sometimes people use it as an excuse to just be an asshole. And I think what's important is that, yeah, they're fictional characters, but you're all real players and you need to keep each other's feelings in mind. I mean, on the good side of that, you get to explore. I feel a lot of people do this where they put their own problems that they have faced in their lives into their characters' lives. A, because they know how it feels and they can relate to it. And B, because this is a safe space for them to explore like healing from that trauma without feeling like they're being vulnerable to a bunch of people that are going to reject your how you feel and how you deal with it. And because it's fictional, it's like you're protecting yourself. So far, I mean, I'm not going to get into the specifics of what trauma exactly each of these characters have been healing from, but I've had a couple characters from campaigns that have been, I mean, one shots I've done quite a few, but you can't really do proper character development on a one shot. I tend to enjoy the campaigns more. I think I've been part of 3 campaigns so far. One was based off of the Dimension 20 season on Sleeping City. One was in Exandria. I think that was my in real life campaign that was going on. It's like I really loved everybody that was involved with it. The DM was amazing. My fellow players, they were all amazing. And we used to meet here only in Dialogues Cafe. But yeah, so there I played a monk druid. Initially, the idea started off as sort of like an uncaring stoner, someone who's like, you can handle your own problems, dude. I'm just here to chill. And I
Was he
realized
a
that
sports druid?
yes, Circle of Spores Druid. Yeah,
Yeah.
Circle of Spores
Yeah,
Druid,
figured.
Drunken Master Monk. That was the
Yeah,
multi-class.
I did not figure that out, but yeah, sports druid, stoner druids, yeah, are always
Yeah,
sports.
and the idea behind it was like, oh, I grow my own mushrooms, and my Drunken Master is not like I'm drinking alcohol; is that I'm smoking my mushrooms
Hmm.
or whatever it is you do with mushrooms. I'm sorry, I'm a noob with drugs. I don't know what
You eat them.
you eat.
You
Oh
eat them.
fuck,
Yep.
damn! But mushrooms are so yucky. Okay, never mind. Wow.
Oh,
Another
you have
controversial
yeah,
opinion.
you have
Actually, I know
Controversial opinion number whatever. Some number, bro. At this point, I've lost track
some
of it.
number.
I don't know, dude. Mushrooms. I'm a vegetarian, so mushrooms just the texture just feels too spongy and alive, and that freaks me the fuck
Even I
out.
don't like it.
Yeah, it just freaks
Even
me
I
out.
don't like it.
Yeah, mushrooms
I
are
love it.
gross. Don't at me. Anyway. Yeah, so he was supposed to be stoner guy, and I realized that that was just me emulating some of the men I have known in my life. Not like stoner dudes, but a lot of dudes that I know, as long as something doesn't directly affect them, they don't think they need to care about it. For example, my ex kind of did this actually, where I would like complain about, or rather rant about, a lot of the sexist stuff that happened in my college, and like curfews at 6:30, and I would go and speak to the warden about it. I got signatures from people about it, but they didn't give a fuck, you know? So I used to talk about this stuff, and he would always be like, dude, just chill. Why are you letting all of this bother you? You should just ignore it. And I'm like, you fucking idiot. It literally affects every aspect of my life. Even if I wanted to ignore it, nobody else is. So it's impossible to not let this thing affect me. And so I think that character was sort of exploring the troubles and concerns of apathy. So, like, the problems that come with being apathetic. You can't just stay out of things and pretend that your passiveness is also not part of the problem. At least that's what the character started off as. But then I ended up making choices over the course of role playing that just made him a real sweetheart. So he instead became like one of those ahimsa loving, non-violent monks that absolutely hated violence and was like a pacifist. And that's also an aspect of me, I feel, because of course for me my reasons are more like I feel like if I let go of control a little bit, I'll become like a really violent anger monster. A lot of rage, and I think a lot of that is fear that, like, him, at least my character, being a pacifist and being scared of confrontation is me. I have seen a lot of anger and what it's done to people, and I don't want that to be me. I feel like inadvertently, every character that you play is going to be some version of you. It's simply impossible to not have that. Yeah, so I think that's the kind of characters I make is story
Hmm.
first, journey first. I think about, was this person interesting to listen to a story about? And, based off of that, you build the rules for it. So, if you're good at something, or it makes sense that in your story that you care about this thing and this is what you're good at, that's what you should put your proficiencies into and things like that. So actually this sort of relates to your earlier question about mechanics or story, and I feel like the best outcome is where both of them coincide. And I always love it so much when there's something in a story and the mechanics just beautifully aid that process.
Oh,
Like
that's
they all
true.
just kind of like click into place, that's the shit, man. That's the magic of D&D. So yeah, I mean, that's the very long answer to your
So,
question about characters.
Aman,
Yeah.
what's your first character?
My first character. It was a very basic ass level one
I'm,
barbarian. I literally made that character one day before, and I was playing on a server which was on US time. So
hmm.
I had to wake up at like 4 a.m. for that game.
Oof.
Uh, so you can just imagine what kind of headspace I would be in trying to role play that character.
Yeah.
Although I knew it was like a one shot, I had the again. This is my first time playing D&D, and this is like more than a couple of years ago now. I went through the trouble of writing around the character backstory, the family, the allies. He was
Cool.
a half elf who was abandoned and was raised by a group of elder orcs who were banished because they were elder and they were no longer fit to rule their own society.
Oh,
They found him just lying in the forest, and decided to raise them as their own. He, because of the hatred, I sounds xenophobic, but because he was abandoned by elves, because he was a half elf, he decided to cut off his ears. Like the
oh my God.
so
Wow. And that was your first ever character. That's some dark shit, my dude.
I know it was some dark shit, but again, I was reading and like looking at a lot of dark shit at that time.
Damn.
So I was in that sort of mental headspace, and I hated my job. I
Oh,
literally felt like I didn't want to hear my boss's voice, so I did made a character who had cut his ears off.
oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
Man,
Dude, but
so,
I
damn.
feel like
and you know
Barbarian's a
what?
really good choice.
My backstory did not come again. It was a
It's so
bloody
much.
one shot. Uh,
Yeah, that's the thing about one shots. You don't have consequences there. You
yeah.
don't have, enough time to explore your character dynamics.
Yeah.
One shots are just for, just for fun. You just play for some time and
I
that's
feel like
it.
they're good
You're
if you
done with
want
that
to
character.
explore the mechanics of a build.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it helped me because I did this one shot that was like very high level, I think 18th level, and up until then I had only been playing like level 3 characters. So I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god, how am I going to play this game? I made like a flow chart for my for like all the spells that I had and all the stuff that I could do during combat, and it was actually a really good learning experience for me. So obviously story wise I gained nothing from that, or I gained very little from that, but it helped me get more confident with how I do things and how I optimize a build. But yeah, I mean, but like you were saying, dude, Barbarian's a great choice for a first character because it's
Yeah,
relatively easy to play.
yeah, it was limited, and I
My
was like
first,
satisfied with being limited, just being a brawler, and this is how much
my
I can handle for my first character.
Mm.
yeah, my first character was a druid. I
Oh,
went
Oh,
for a druid right on my first game.
was that also a one shot or was it like a campaign?
No, it was a
Oh
campaign
my god, you have
actually
to
set
prep
in the
your
League of
spells.
Legends world.
League of Legends is awesome. It's an awesome world, right? It's like retro future, magic, arcanotech.
Yeah, it was set in a League of Legends world.
So cool.
I played like 2 sessions in that before the campaign got, cancelled.
Oh, okay.
oh,
I because but that person was the guy who actually got me into D&D. Like
Oh,
he was one of
nice.
my first players. Thanks to him, I'm actually we have the Infinite Tavern and all of that.
that's awesome.
Uh, his name is Sid. I met him on Clubhouse during the whole
Mm.
fad,
Wow.
and yeah, his description said D&D, so I immediately DM'd him, asked him about how I can actually get into this whole thing. He gave me some links. He agreed to play in my first game when I ran Lost Mines of Phandelver. I got a few HarryTter fans to play in it as well.
Yeah, oh my God, you started
Like
off as a DM, right? Like, so before you
Yeah,
even
I
got a
started off
PC.
as a DM.
that's. I mean,
Yeah.
hearing that is
That's
crazy
so
for me.
insane. Like, I can't imagine, even after like watching so many shows and playing as a PC, I was like so anxious about DMing. I've DM'd once, and it was for like a bunch of noobs. Like, it's all my friends, my normie friends who don't play D&D, and I was like insisting that they play D&D and watch D&D content, and they were like, "Why don't you just run a game for us?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll fucking do it." And so I ran one game for them. I don't think I was great at it. Also, because like they're all new, so they don't know if I do something wrong anyway.
Yeah,
I'll
Noob
tell you
doing.
something, my first game,
Mm.
I had to even roll the players' roles. Those people, I didn't know that, the players also get to roll. And this knowledge was based on what I saw in Big Bang Theory.
Oh
Because
no.
only the DM was rolling there.
Oh no,
oh,
Anorak, you poor soul. And your poorer
Yeah,
souled
and
players.
but they enjoyed it. They enjoyed it, and later on, they stopped playing, and I found this amazing group. So shout out to Nero, Levinak, and the others. Their character names,
Okay.
and they played for one whole campaign, and they played the first version of the Friday campaign that you are playing.
Mm.
The next about this character that I created, Kilimak, the half orc druid. His backstory was that he was born because of a curse, and because he was disfigured, he was abandoned by his parents,
Ooh.
only to be raised. Basically, he was raised by some random
So
woodcutter.
much parental abandonment in D&D. Honestly,
yeah.
like D&D should really stand for dungeons and daddy issues.
But yeah, he was raised by this woodcutter until the woodcutter passed away
Oof.
out of old age. And this person, he lived near some village, loved nature because I, as a person, I love nature.
Because
And
he loved nature because his dad cut nature down and made money off of it. Makes sense to me.
Oh, come on.
Sorry, continue.
I think I made him Circle of the Shepherds to it. Basically, he was shunned by the people of that village he was staying near just because of what he looked like.
Mm.
And that actually came in from this whole experience of me being bullied because I was a little stout as a kid. And that was like my whole school life where I was bullied was a very traumatic thing for me. Built this whole new shell around me. That's something that I couldn't get out of until I was like 18, 19, I guess. Took me like more than a decade to get out of.
Yeah, you
But
see what I mean? We all explore our traumas through our D&D character.
exactly. And yeah, so basically, people started accepting him only after some bandits attacked the whole village, and this person was the only person who defended this place,
Mm.
like to near death. So people, the children loved him though. Even though the adults shunned him, children loved him
Oh, that's
because
so
he
cute.
had all these great stories to tell them.
This is so
So that
cute.
also basically came from the fact that babies love me.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
That's cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
self-insert. This is, yeah.
Hey, I'm the favorite uncle. I can't do anything there.
Yeah, the same, same. I have the
This
same
is
vibe.
this is my dream. Oh wow, yeah, you guys are actually uncles. Yeah, you're old.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
the thing that you were telling me about like the person that introduced you to D&D and stuff, and like how you hit them up and wanted about servers, that reminded me of how we met, because we also met through like one of these server arrangements to go watch the D&D movie together, like a bunch of people who were in Bangalore at the
I arranged
time.
that.
Yeah, and at the time Anarak was there, and I had a mutual friend who kind of knew like people in the server, and I literally joined that server that day because my friend and I was supposed to go to the movie, and he was like, why don't we go with this huge group of people? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. The more D&D people I meet, the better. And then I met this dude. He's standing there in his most D&D shirt ever. I think it literally said, it had like that official logo of the D&D thing.
It
And
had five dragons that formed the shape and that
yeah,
said
it
Dungeons
was
and Dragons at
sick.
the
It
bottom.
was so sick. I fucking love that shirt. And I remember him because of his cool shirt. And also because he was so excited. He was like all bubbling up and he was like talking to people and he kept showing off his dice. And I asked him what his name was and he said Anorak. And I was like, bitch, what's your
I
actual
thought,
name?
okay, at that point, I thought they were asking me what my who I was on Discord, and I just said Anorak so that
When
people would
someone
recognize me.
says, what's your name, you don't assume it means Discord ID. Anorak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked him this. He's like, Anorak. I'm like, bro, what's your actual name though? And then he said his actual name, Sai Raghava. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm Poorna. And he was like, okay, but what's your Discord name? I'm like, bitch, we're in real life. What are you talking about? And also, my Discord name is also Poorna. Because I was very, I like would get
All right.
confused by people's Discord names. So I had my own name. And then, like, almost a year later, we meet again.
Not almost a year later. It's now it would be almost a year. It's like 3 months after that.
Okay,
That's what.
okay. Oh, that's even worse for you then. Just a few months after that, we
Oh,
have.
yeah, why did I do this to myself?
You're doing this race self goal. But yeah, so I have a friend that I play with in my real life campaign, like I said, the IRL one,
Hmm.
and he plays in the current Friday campaigns that I have joined. So basically, he gave me like a reference and told Anorak that I would be interested in joining the campaign, and that's how we met. And I was like, dude, we've actually met before. And he's like, oh, really? I don't remember it at all. To this day,
Yeah.
he does not remember meeting me.
I do remember. I keep
Oh,
telling
yeah, you're
you.
telling me this after the fact, after the first 10 times of telling me you didn't remember me. So, I'm not gonna believe you.
I do remember you.
Really, what was
Okay,
I wearing?
because at the interval, a white color T-shirt from what I remember.
It was not white, it was tie dyed, and I made it. It said always raging. Pwah, pwah, pwah.
I mean,
Your favorite guest, everybody.
Yeah.
making your host dig a hole for themselves 6 feet
Yeah,
under.
the favorite host indeed. More like most forgettable and forgetful. That's what you are. But no, you're not forgettable clearly because I remember you. It's just that
Okay.
apparently I wasn't memorable enough. Aman, like just like how you weren't memorable enough for him.
Ah,
Why is
ow.
this the
Is
Anorak
that is that a cardiac
roasting
arrest?
session today?
Oh wait, we were gonna talk about accents at some point, right? What else would you use them in?
I mean, most people do do a version of accents or dialects when they're trying to recall a story where you have different people involved. I mean, a lot of them do, enough to not count it as some of them.
Right.
It has really intrigued me because, again, this comes from me being fascinated with Iranian movies. One of my favorite directors, Abbas Kiarostami, I think he's the one who said it, or I think it's pretty known about Iranian movie culture, is that they literally take non actors because they believe, like the normal citizens, they play so many roles in so many different situations that they're literally an actor, different actor inside their house. They're literally a different actor
Code
while
switching.
interacting with friends. They're different actor when they're in the workspace, and
Yeah.
sometimes they even have different ways of talking, maybe different accentuations. Like
Yeah.
even with me, if I'm talking with my friends from back in hometown, I'll be like, "अबे क्या चल रहा है बे?" So I'd be like that. But for example, if I'm speaking to my client, sometimes I'll have some, inflection in my accent
Mm,
so that they can understand me. So,
that's
so
true.
sometimes I'll talk like this so they're able to understand me properly. Uh,
Yeah.
when I went to Saudi, when I was talking to the Arabs over there, brother, listen, need go here, where do I go? Like I
Whoa.
that was like automatic. It switched automatically. So
Yeah, yeah.
because
I think,
I
yeah.
wished for them to understand what I was saying. I didn't want them to be confused by my Indian accent, so I just
Mhm.
imitated their accent.
Dude, I know. I feel like it's really easy to do that when you're immersed in like a space where people are talking
Yeah.
like that. Like you start to talk like that. For example, whenever I watch like British shows for a bit, like when I close my laptop and I walk away, my internal monologue is running in that accent. So it's easier for me to talk in that accent after having listened to it for a while. So sometimes that happens automatically, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to mock you. This is just automatically happening. So yeah, I do get that. That's awesome. That happens to you too.
Yeah, that happens to me. And my point that I was coming to was Anurag doesn't know this because I haven't done it in his games as much. But I
Mm.
always try to. I'm not a voice actor by any means. I'm not
Yeah,
an
I mean, none of us are.
yeah, but I still try to give my character a character.
Mm.
Like if it's an old guy, maybe he's gonna talk something like this. Oh, you kids.
Oh,
What would
yeah.
you know about the
Oh,
struggles of
back
our
in the old
time?
days.
Yeah, and that whole thing is pretty enjoyable for me, at least, even though it might not be for some other people, because some people do role play like a lot with accents, with the way they talk. Lot of people don't do that, but
Mhm.
they're talking in the normal voice, but again, they're still role playing.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know where I was going with this, but
No,
that's just a
I
flavor for
think
me that I
that's
love.
true. It's flavor. It's always like an additional dimension you're adding to your role playing, and like it's not necessary for it to happen. Of course, some people are
Yeah,
comfortable to do that. Some people aren't. It helps me personally because it helps separate the player from the character, right? Like for example,
yeah.
with Zintra, the mafia character, I was basically speaking like a Russian mob person. I talk like this. And if you give me the money, I will not shoot you. Obviously, this is nothing that she said because she doesn't give a fuck about money, but
I'm
yes.
still learning accents. So I mean, I've started learning accents for the campaigns itself. So
Hmm.
I try to do a little bit of a Spanish accent, which goes borderline into Italian sometimes.
He just says
Hey.
And then I
senorita
know,
a lot, like senorita and
yeah,
senor, and I feel
not
like,
I've stopped using those words, but still I try to do it as much as I can.
hmm.
But the one that I'm really enjoying learning is the Cockney accent so far.
Oh man,
Oh yeah.
fucking accents. I can't believe, the thing that Anurag does is he goes straight for the hard ones and completely ignores the easy accents. Like I keep telling him, dude, if you do the traditional RP, the common British dialect that you hear the most, right, which is
Yeah.
I talk aristocratic English like this because this is the Queen's English. So it's received pronunciation, which is also known as RP, which is like the most common dialect of the British accent that you hear because it's like the Queen's English. And yeah, but then like Cockney is more like that's actually technically rural.
Working class British accent.
Working class British. And then there's like the more Irish tones, which is what I do for more. I'm from Ireland. It's not my best, I'll be honest. But I had to my accent as more has gone through like several stages. In the beginning, I
It
tried
went
to
from
do
British to
British
Scottish to Irish.
to Scottish to Irish,
Wow.
yeah. Because I was trying to discover it as I went along. It was initially supposed to be Irish because she's a water genasi, and in my
Uh-huh.
head, primordial sounds like Welsh or Irish, like those languages. Because the way it's
Oh.
described in D&D lore is that it's
It
like
feels
a
Celtic for a lot. Feels a lot Celtic.
yeah,
Like
it feels Celtic.
Celtic
It
is
feels Celtic. It feels like it's the way it's described is like lyrical. It sounds like nature, but it's also the rawness of nature. So I was like, ooh, that really does sound like a lot of the Welsh and like Irish stuff I've heard, which has like those lyrical lulls and falls, like the R's, the rolling of the R's, but then also like some more guttural sounds. So I was like, okay,
Yeah, it's
I'm
more
gonna try to
Scottish.
do
Yeah.
yeah. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe certain dialects are more Scottish, some dialects are, Irish. And since I'm a
Hmm.
water genasi, Aquan felt more like the flowy types, which was Irish.
Yeah.
So I figured I would go with an Irish accent, but I had never done one before. So it started off as English with just the R's being rolled in the Irish way,
Yeah.
and then I went into Scottish somehow, and then I
You
finally
just
sort of
started
settled
rolling.
into the yeah. I went. I eventually landed in Irish. Sort of to prep, what I do sometimes is I just go and to YouTube and like play clips of some Irish person talking. So I just get into that mindset, like we were talking about, where
Yeah.
when you hear it, when you're immersed in it, it's easier to get back into that
Yeah.
and speak like that. And so that's like my, I guess, my ritual before the game starts is I listen to an Irish accent. Yeah. But
but
it's so fun because
other
when I talk in character, I can talk in that accent, and then out of character, when I'm asking the DM a question or confirming something with my fellow players, I can just talk how I normally talk. Yeah, sorry, Alan, like you were saying something.
so other than that, what do you think actually RP is all about? I mean, accents is not only RP, and it's just
Yeah, it's
the
just
bare
a thing
minimum
that
part
you're
Flavor.
of an
supposed to
RP.
do.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously,
but
accents aren't the only way to differentiate your player voice from your character voice. Because, like Aman was saying, you can just do like an affectation of an old person, or you can just stutter a lot if you're like a very nervous character,
like me
or
talking
have
in
long.
this high pitch accent
There you go,
and high
changing
pitch
the
voice,
tone. Yeah, exactly. Your
or
pitch, your
just talking
tone.
like a dragon.
Oh, now that's impressive. Now you're just showing off. What is good RP about?
Yeah, think about that for a
Maybe
second.
some homework for you to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah, damn.
But while you think about that, let's just try playing something. So I formulated some questions for you. It's a would
Okay.
you rather game.
Oh,
Mm.
I think this is actually, a question for you specifically. Would
oh,
you
me.
rather have a pet dragon or a magical familiar in a D&D campaign?
I mean, I already have a baby dragon. I can't say anything else, or
And
she'll
you
hate
had
me.
magical familiars as well.
I have had magical familiars. I feel like when you have an actual pet, it's harder to use them as collateral. With magical familiars, people
Yeah,
often see them as expendable. So it's
Mhm.
always like, yeah, I
they're
summon
just
my owl, I throw him
cannon
into the
fodder.
air to go, yeah, cannon fodder, basically. And I haven't done that with my magical familiars. And that's the thing about, because in real life, you wouldn't do that. In a story, as a character, you wouldn't do that. As a familiar, you have a bond with them anyway. Yes, I would take pet dragon over
Uh,
magical
okay.
familiar.
Would you rather explore the depths of the Underdark or the heights of the elemental plane of air?
Ooh, damn.
That's a good one.
You know, I love light and I like natural lighting, and I've always wanted to fly, so probably the elemental plane of air. Yeah.
Interesting.
Also, I'm basically blind, dude. I do not have night vision in real life. I would suck in the Underdark. I would stumble over a human skeleton and stab myself with a rock.
Same. I feel that in my bones.
Yeah, what about you? What do you think? Underdark or air?
Underdark seems interesting with the kind of, different kinds of mushrooms that are available. Not that I, actually consume mushrooms, but
Like
still,
glowing
they're just
mushrooms?
very fun, glowing mushrooms. And, from
Mm.
what I've seen in Baldur's Gate 3, Underdark seems beautiful. Still, I like, come on,
This is
floating
like one of
islands.
those.
Who wouldn't want
This
that?
is like one of those questions: caves or beaches or mountains. It's like one of those personality test questions.
Mountains any time of the day.
Yeah, you go a lot. You go a lot like trekking and stuff. I've heard. Yeah, Aman, what
Mm,
about you? Underdark or the elemental plane of air?
It's very weird because I love underground stuff, but I'm also claustrophobic.
Oh, yikes! How do you balance both of that?
I don't. I just panic all the time.
You're panicking, but you're also loving it.
Like, oh, that's cool. Ah!
Hey,
That's cool.
Like
you
that.
can you can be scared, terrified of heights and still go skydiving. No,
Oh, you
I
did
that's
am
what,
that.
right?
terrified of
I want
heights. I am terrified of heights.
Oh, so you're terrified of heights
I
and enclosed spaces.
Yeah, that's so like that's the weird shit.
man,
And I'm afraid of
airplanes must
swimming.
lead airplanes must rend you catatonic, bro.
Oh my god.
I just put like my earphones and close my eyes and then think I'm going on a bus ride. That's just what
Because
I
Oh.
I
feel.
really hate flying. I really hate flying. And every time there's a takeoff or this thing, right? I just clutch my seat. I just put on some music and I just close my
Really?
eyes.
I love takeoff.
I,
Takeoff feels like a roller coaster. Do you guys not like roller coasters?
I
I
love
hate
roller coasters,
I
but
hate roller coasters.
something about flying is just.
What?
I'm
Aman,
for,
how did your
for
wife marry you?
Yeah, that's what she says.
self burns. Those are rare.
Yeah.
But
But
rewarding.
I'm terrified of heights, and yet I chose the elemental plane of air.
Mm,
He's claustrophobic, yet he chose
underdog.
the underdog. Wow,
Yeah.
quite adventurous people, both
You
of us.
both are masochists, it seems like. In addition to being DMs, which automatically means you're sadists, apparently.
Would you rather to have a magical item that grants flight or
Hmm.
one that grants invisibility?
Ooh. Oh my god. Oh, I do want to fly, but if you are we talking about this in real life or D&D? Like if I could have a magic
In
item in real
D&D,
life.
in
Okay.
D&D. It's
I'm
basically
I'm still
D&D
gonna
thing.
go. I feel like I'm gonna go with invisibility. Also, in real life, if you were just a random person flying, that would cause a lot of questions, and you would have the FBI at your door in like
Exactly,
20
exactly.
minutes. But if you were
We've all seen
invisible,
movies.
you could do a lot of cool shit, like steal your boss's wallet out of his backpack. Is that a very
Yeah.
specific scenario? Yes. Am I gonna answer for the questions? Absolutely not. Let's move on.
And what if someone from your company hears this?
Hey,
Every bag
I
is gonna
don't
have a lock after that.
Nobody knows where I work. There are lots of Poornas. I just want to remind everyone that Poorna is a very common name and it's not even my full name. So, suck on that.
Okay, so would you rather have a character with a tragic backstory or one with a mysterious past?
Ooh. I mean, come on. Mysterious past. There's so many opportunities there. Tragic backstory has been overdone to death.
Yeah, it's a cliche at this
I
point.
say this. I say this fully knowing the two characters you both spoke about had tragic backstories.
Yeah, I mean, and I've
Hey, that
stopped
was my
doing that.
first character.
Yeah,
That was
same.
my first character.
I see everybody's
I mean,
allowed a quota of tragic backstory characters. After a point, it gets cliched.
right now, the character I'm currently playing is another law. I usually play lawful good,
Yeah, you're a
kind of like
good.
Murph
You're
does.
like a goody type.
Oh no, I played chaotic once, and I truly lived up to my name of a chaotic bard. Yeah, all spellcaster or all melee.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Currently, you're playing kind of both.
I tend to
So
multiclass a lot. Mostly because, like I said, I go for like the character development, the story thing. So I don't even think about like what's the most optimized build. Sometimes I just like randomly put shit together. Like, oh, this seems like fun flavor, and sometimes I don't pick useful spells. I just pick ones that I feel like would be really cool for me to visualize. So I'm not the best when it comes to strategizing. This is so difficult. I love a mixture of both. It's so hard for me to choose. I know that I guess the more higher level you go, the better it is to have spellcasters, and at lower levels the melee fighters are better. But I really enjoy martial classes on their own without any magic. And I also really enjoy spellcasting classes. I haven't gotten a chance to play a lot of spellcasting classes yet. I feel like I've done almost all or probably all of the martial like classes: monk, rogue. I don't know if rogue counts, but monk and like fighter and barbarian. I've played all of these. Damn, this is difficult. I guess I will go with spellcaster because I have less experience with those. I haven't played all the spellcasting
Alright.
classes.
would you rather explore an ancient elven city or a forgotten dwarven stronghold?
Elven City. This one's easy for me because even though the elves are hoity-toity as fuck, the dwarves are, at least from their representation in media that I've seen, they are just like, how do I put this? The gamer boys of races, like, and not the fun kind, the kind that
The
drinks
jocks?
like 6-pack of Kool-Aid sitting in their sweaty room closed for like 6 days in a row, just gaming continuously, and the second they come out they have like pit stains and they smell terrible and their hair is greasy and they talk like a smoker and they drink beer drinkers. Y'all are the worst.
Okay,
Callback.
yeah, that's a callback.
Yeah.
We need a disclaimer for this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't at me. You can just take this sting, okay? Take me saying, don't at me, and just put it in like a putum.
Oh no, we are going to do that. It's already in there. But yeah, let's move forward into the next question. Would you rather face a powerful foe alone with legendary weapons or with a team of inexperienced allies and basic gear?
Hmm. You know me. I'm gonna choose my friends.
Ah,
Mainly because D&D, the thing that I enjoy the most about D&D is that it's a team sport. This is something that Emily Axford says, and it's like a bible that you should follow when you're in a D&D game, because what makes it fun is that you're doing it with other people. Also,
mm.
mechanically speaking, it's better to spread out action economy with other people and giving your enemies other targets than just yourself.
All right. One last one. Would you rather have a bag of holding that can store infinite items or a portable hole that can create an extra dimensional space?
Ooh. So what does a portable hole do? Like you
It's
just
basically like a shelf. You can just, put it. It's kind of like a bag of holding without the bag.
so it's just a floating thing in the
You just hold it.
is it like is it like from the D&D movie when they create a dimension door? It's like that. It's a hole.
Kind of like that, but it only, creates an extra dimensional shelf for you to store your
Oh,
items.
okay. So you
But if
can't
maybe if it is restricted, everything could just fall out. And from the bag, maybe a bagman would pop up.
I mean, I'll take my chances with the bag, man. Give me the bag of holding. I can wear it like a fanny pack. That would be fun. A fanny pack of holding.
I never thought of that. That could be a really fun.
That's cool.
All right. But yeah, coming back to the question, what is good RP all about?
Ooh, what is good RP all about? I feel like there is a balance that you have to find between being a player and being a character. Because obviously, when you're in character, you're making choices that would be authentic to what your character would do. But you can't use that as an excuse to just be like a shithead and completely disrespect everybody else's stories. So obviously, prior to starting the game and like how you guys have session zeros and things like that, you obviously have to discuss your expectations with each other. And I mean, this is just good relationship advice, not just with D&D player relationships. But yeah, so set your expectations, play to your strengths, because if you are someone that doesn't enjoy talking too much, I mean, there's a certain aspect to this which is pushing your boundaries and coming out of your what is your comfort zone and just things that you are used to. So that is certainly there. So introduce an element of it that will challenge you, but also play what you enjoy about the game. So if you're just gonna be a rude person because you think that that is an aspect that you want to explore, as someone that's not very good at confrontation, find a way that you can make that seem authentic rather than just, oh, this person's rude and that's all there is to it. I feel like I went into a very specific example, but yeah, I think invest in everybody's stories. Invest in your own story and the other PCs at the table, because if you care about their stories, they're going to automatically care about your stories, and it's like a incremental cycle that goes in and out. And I think that's what good RP is about, is caring about your friends, keeping in mind that while the characters are fictional, you are real. And while we are exploring these fictional stories, it's just most important to have fun while doing it. But what do you think? What do you think good RP is all about?
I mean, yeah, definitely, setting up expectations is very important because that's actually what I try to do with all the players. I try to see what I want to see what their character arc expectation is,
Mm,
so that I could actually play off that. And I always look for players who are compatible with each other. If you actually go with people who just want to do stuff because that's what their character would do,
mm,
that kind of gets annoying at a point. Just because your character would do that doesn't mean you have to do that.
yeah,
And it
absolutely.
just ruins the gaming experience for everyone else. What do you think, Aman?
From what both of you said, it pretty much covers what I also think. Again, it just harkens back to the fact that it's supposed to be like a collaborative effort. And as GMs, also we also RP a lot. So even though it's like for short bursts of time only, what I have found helpful, or rather, I mean, I don't want to like preach or anything here, but what I felt what made good RP is seeing what the players were doing, how they were RPing with each other, and
Mm,
making sure like the world that they were inhabiting felt real to the PCs.
Yeah.
At least the DMs were that I was creating, or the NPCs I was interacting with, felt like, okay, this NPC should feel real to this PC,
Yeah. Yeah.
that this would be
Absolutely.
part of the world, and that makes it a bigger and better collaborative effort, encompasses like a good RP session. Implementing it is hard, it's really hard. For a
Yeah,
one
it's true.
shot,
It's
I
easy
would
to
not
say.
recommend it. For a one shot, I would not recommend it at all. But if you're doing for a campaign, then yeah, then eventually that's also something I learned. Not learned. I started by watching CR. All right, not a very good expect. I mean, for me that was like a too high a bar for me, as a GM and as a player. But since there are a bunch of buddies who are also voice actors, they were RPing in a way that it felt real to them, to their NPCs and their character, and that's
Yeah.
why they were having so much fun. Even if it's absolutely fine that you are not enjoying that the way they are playing D&D, or all what your reasons are, but what I found is that if they are enjoying it, what I've seen for campaign 3, again I'm going on different tangents here, and now I'm getting into CR hate. I don't know why. I love CR. Like, people have complained that campaign 3 is not good at all. Like, I've seen a lot of people complain that campaign 3 is shit, but I don't find it shit. I've been following it like from the start. But like Matt Mercer said, that he does it for his players first. The viewers are fine, he also cares about them, but the players experience comes first. If they are enjoying it, then I'm doing a good job of creating a world that feels real to them or their PCs.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah,
are,
that's what I usually, say to all my players. I think I told it to you as well. As long as you players have fun, the DM, even I have fun.
yeah. So
That's great. Yeah. I
that's
feel
sort of
like,
my responsibility that comes on the GM as well, on the RP space.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my 2 cents on it.
Oh, that's
The
great.
thing is, players take, 3, 4, or maybe 5 hours of their week
Yeah.
to play the game, And as a DM, it is our responsibility to give them the story that they would enjoy.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are also, I mean,
And
I know that you're
and
predominantly GMs, but a lot of responsibility gets put on the DM to provide a good story. But the main principle behind D&D is that it's a character driven story. And so
Hmm.
if you're not
yeah,
actively taking steps in order to fulfill your arc, or, get interested in other people's stories or make big moves, then there's no story to speak of, no matter what the DM does. So Anurag, you're saying like, oh, we're taking 3-4 hours out of our week to come play. You guys take so much more time. There's so much planning that goes into this, and you have to manage the expectations of so many people. I feel like this is something I've seen once I started playing in the D&D space. Like, when you're just listening to podcasts or consuming content that is like actual play content, you don't see the behind the scenes of it. But something I've seen a lot is that both players and DMs tend to use the rules as written as a stick to beat each other with, rather than sort of a map which you use to guide your way through the story. And a lot of that onus of like making it worth it falls on the DM. But I feel like that's an exaggerated amount of responsibility, because I think the players are equally, if not more, responsible for the direction that the story takes. And feeling like, oh, something's too sandboxed or something is too railroady really is in the hands of the players, in most situations. Of course, I'm not saying there are not some crazy DMs out there. I've heard some bad stories from people, but it's mostly just the fact that you have to be invested in order for the GM also to feel like all the effort that they're putting in is worth it. Because something that, like,
absolutely.
I feel like you tend to do this as well, Anurag, is like you kind of take it too hard on yourself when you feel like you've done something wrong or not enough. I remember a couple weeks ago there was a session and Anurag was like, I don't know, you guys, I feel like I could have done better. I'm going to step up my game. And obviously, I'm not complaining that he's going to step up his game. That's going to be amazing. But you put in so much effort. And a lot of that is also like part of us having fun is also when you're having fun. Because we can tell when the DM is excited about something, and that enthusiasm will also affect our enthusiasm in turn. So, something I think that gets overlooked a lot is that DMs need to have fun too, but often that is being portrayed in this one dimensional method of like, oh, DMs have fun when they get to kill the PCs. It feels very DMV the players. And that's, I don't know if you guys have seen this happen a lot. I don't know if your players at your games have this attitude, or if it's just a joke that people throw out there. But often there's like this sort of jokey but very combative energy between like, oh, the DMs on one side and the players on the other side. You win if you win over them in combat. I know a lot of players. I have some friends in the D&D spaces who are like that are always like, yeah, they say you can't win in D&D, but you actually win when you make the DM say fuck you, man. While I appreciate that it's a joke, and I can take it as a joke, but I think on some level they don't mean it as a joke, because
Yeah, when the DM gets angry like that, I think it's kind of on the,
what they meant was more like, oh, you use an ability in a clutch moment and they're like, oh my god, I didn't anticipate this. But it often comes off as a more animosity sort of situation. But I've always felt like that's such a weird attitude to have, because the DM is on your side, like we're part of the same team that is building a story together. And when you think of it more as a game rather than a storytelling device, that's when it becomes problematic. So part of RP is also remembering that the DM is also spending their time and they're also involved in the story. And this is as much their story as it is yours, and that everybody needs to be having fun.
Yeah, exactly. And also another part of this thing is knowing your consequences. I mean, you see an ancient dragon that is just sleeping, you don't go wake it up. And if you
Yeah.
wake it up, it will kill you. You can't be angry with the DM for actually killing you with that.
Fuck around and find out.
You're gonna
It's
find out.
exactly fuck around and find out.
How did the previous
Okay.
one go? Did he not go on?
Peaceful, peaceful.
Very
It was
peaceful.
peaceful.
It was so.
But I think with this, we just get near the end of the episode. So first of all, Poorna, thank you for just agreeing to be a part
Oh,
of
thank
this.
you. What are you talking
Our
about?
second guest, and we already have burnt the one of the hosts. I'm waiting for the day. But Aman also gets a little.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I already got some like embers thrown on me, so I'm feeling the
Yeah,
heat a bit.
yeah. He's standing next to the furnace, so he got
Yeah.
that. He got
yeah,
slightly
and I'm
toasted like a
I'm just
marshmallow.
in the furnace with the door closed.
Oh shit.
He's burning in the fires of hell. Meanwhile, you got slightly toasted like a marshmallow. I don't know, guys. It's time for s'mores.
Time you heard it here first.
Yeah, s'mores with a roast anorak. Yeah, I think that is the end of the
Third
episode,
episode.
guys. So if you have any comments or anything, you can just put in the comments. I think there's something that Spotify allows you.
And please give
Yeah.
us a good rating because you can rate the podcast as
Yeah,
there.
try sharing it on to everyone who might be interested in D&D, to know how chaotic D&D could be, and how much fun D&D could be if you play it the right way.
Yeah, hey, thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I mean, to get to talk about D&D for a couple hours, who wouldn't want that job? Am I right?
Yeah, who wouldn't want that? I mean, we do that without recording, so why not record?
Yeah.
Just a self plug-in. If you want to know more about D&D, I also post D&D reels in Hindi on my Instagram channel, where I just break down the basic rules of what shit is in D&D, your rulings, your mechanics, some of that. So you can check
Damn.
that out. Yeah, there's that, and there are innumerable, infinite YouTube videos for that as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm
But
definitely gonna check that out.
You can also check out the Infinite Tavern Twitch stream, and we'll be moving into YouTube as well very soon.
soon.
Yeah,
Whoa.
very soon.
And also, if you're interested in joining the server, you can go to the links in our
In the
in the
Yeah, we
bio
have a link tree.
in the Instagram. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a link tree, and you can join the Discord server for the Infinite Tavern, where we play a bunch of games.
and where you can meet me,
And
Anorak,
me, the other one, Amaan
and
HK.
Poorna as well. Where you can actually add Poorna.
Yeah, you can add
No,
her.
don't at me.
But yeah, I think until next week, where we come with another guest. May your dice rolls be always great. Because last time I was pointed out, because nat one rolls could also be a good thing.
Oh, is it like may
So
the rolls be ever in your favor, like the Hunger Games thing?
yeah,
May the
I
rolls
think that
be
would be really
ever
good.
in your favor, like Effie Trinket.
And on that note, see you guys next week.